It is deadline day, which means Sunderland are being very busy as they have been all of the transfer window, and it looks like two new players are going to be arriving at the Stadium of Light. And I apologise if I butcher these names, but Geertruida and Brian Brobbey are looking like they're going to sign on the dotted line. We're going to talk about this in the video. Please let me know your thoughts on these signings in the comments. Please like and subscribe as well if you enjoy this content. So let's dig into it. Why are we signing these players? Are they going to be good additions? Let's start with Geertruida. So it looked like he was set to sign for Marseille yesterday, but it seems like Sunderland have hijacked that move. And we, as we often do in the transfer market, we act very, very fast and very, very quickly. And also a big positive for this is that it looks like the Marguerite loan, which was cancelled by Chelsea, it looks like the money the club have received from that is what they're using to pay for this loan deal. So that's a positive, of course, for Sunderland, because they are losing Gio, who came in and did, he scored that wonderful goal against Huddersfield, and that's the long-lasting memory of him. But Chelsea recall him because they've had a striker issue, and we have moved swiftly in the market to make sure that that is not an issue, and we've secured possibly two targets we've been looking at all summer. So what do we know about this guy? Well, he plays largely at right back, but he can tuck in at centre back. That is something we know Sunderland like to do. Mukwele was a right back who can play centre back. We saw him on the opening day play centre back, and he was an absolute man mountain. So this is a guy who maybe is a similar sort of mould, can play right back and play centre back. He also inverts into defensive midfield at times. So versatile. He's 25 years old. He's a Dutch international. He's 6'1", and he made his name at Feyenoord. It also has been at RB Leipzig, where he played a lot of games last season. Leipzig signed him for 20 million euros last summer. He played 35 games for them last season. He's played well over 200 for Feyenoord and has been a regular for them from the 2020-21 season. He's also played 17 games for the Dutch national team. So this is an experienced player. He's played in Europe, is in European competitions, and he's played obviously in the Eredivisie and the Bundesliga. So it looks like this is an experienced player. We're getting a good age at 25 years old, and I think this is quite an exciting move for Sunderland. So what type of player is he? Well, delving into the scouting reports and what's been said about him, we're getting a good passer of the ball. He fits that mould that Sunderland love to look for, of players who are progressive in their passes, can get us up the field quickly. Sunderland have been very keen to bring in physically strong, physically quick players and players who like to play through the thirds quickly, and this is another player that fits that mould. Sunderland want to be a team in transition. I think the fixtures that we've had this season so far, the first three, have made it really hard to see that, but I think when we play against maybe them higher level teams who are going to pen us in, we might see it against Aston Villa coming up at the Stadium of Light in a couple of weeks, well, 3 weeks' time. We might see it then where they will pin us in with possession, but Sunderland will just aim to hit them on the break. This is another player that is quick and strong, and these are things that we love. He's very, very aggressive. Sunderland fans will love that. He loves the tackle, and that's what we want as fans, and that's what we love to see. Enzo Lefebvre is one of them players where at the weekend he put in like 2 back-to-back tackles and it gets the whole ground up. We love tackles at Sunderland, and this is a guy that fits that remit. So I think the next question is, why are we signing him? Well, I think that we are looking at Mukwele potentially as the cover centre-back. I know we've been looking at John Lusumi. I don't think that deal's going to happen. There's been no whispers yet, although as this video is recording, who knows, something might happen. Things can move very quick on deadline day. But I think they're looking at Mukwele as potentially being a centre-back, and I think they thought, right, okay, well, we're going to bring in a right-back now, because Mukwele was so impressive in his Premier League debut playing at centre-back. I think we definitely need cover for Trey Hume. Trey Hume has basically been without cover for a couple of years now since Niall Huggins got injured. So we need that, and it makes sense. We've now got 2 quality options at that position. So right back would be ticked off with this move. And this is also a player like Mukwele who's versatile. He can also, come in at centre-back. We know the Premier League, it's a vicious league. Injuries happen. We've got a lot of options now defensively. I mean, this is the one area of the team we were concerned about sort of heading into the season, but the club have answered that, and this signing comes in and completes that defensive unit. So let's move on now to our new, well, it looks like it's going to be our new striker. Brian Brobbey, we have brought in from Ajax. Looks like it's going to be around £21 million for the Ajax player. He's 23 years old. He's around 6 foot tall. He's scored 42 goals in 103 league games for Ajax. And it looks like Fulham were interested in him, but it looks like we've beaten them to the punch on this one. So, what type of player is he? Well, again, much like a lot of our business, this is a physically strong player and a quick player who's going to be very, very good in transition. This is exactly what Sunderland are targeting. We are looking for players to finish, to get us up the pitch quickly and finish off, in terms of Brobbey anyway, finish off those moves and be in the box and be around. This is a guy who is a volume shooter, and what that means is it's not necessarily that he just shoots on sight, but he creates his own chances and has his own movements which get him shooting opportunities. He's not somebody who's going to necessarily rely on service. He's not just a poacher who just sits there and waits for the chances. He will try and make chances, which is obviously very, very good for a team who is, so far this season struggling to create a lot in front of goal. The 23-24 season, this is particularly exciting. He had 18 goals and 9 assists for Ajax, so he had a fantastic 23-24 season, linked with a lot of clubs after that. But then last season, nowhere near as fruitful. 7 goals and 6 assists in all competitions in 44 games. And, there will be people looking at that being concerned. And obviously, I look at that and think, right, okay, so this is a player who's maybe having a regression. But I think if you delve into the numbers, he had a very high expected goals and assists last season. And it's almost like he didn't connect like he did in the previous season. That could be bad luck. That could be that maybe he had very good luck the season before. I'm not sure. But the club are looking at that thinking, right, he has high XG. He obviously gets a lot of chances, takes a lot of shots. Last season, they weren't going in for him. We think that we can maybe get more out of him going forward. And if Sunderland can get that, execution rate for him, to get the number for the expected goals turned into goals, then this is a guy who can maybe score 10 goals in the Premier League. And obviously that would be a massive win. A 10-goal Premier League striker goes a long way to helping you win games of football. He's also been linked with a lot of Premier League moves. I also read a report where he had like an issue with the Amsterdam Mafia. I don't know much about that. It was in The Guardian anyway. There was an issue there last season, something to do with that. So maybe that contributes to his form not being as good last season. But I think the club are obviously looking at this thinking that last season was an outlier for him. The season before is maybe more representative of what he is. We are buying low on a player who a couple of years ago was being linked with huge moves to top clubs in Europe. He's had one down year. That's why he's been attainable for Sunderland. If he had maintained and scored another 20 goals for Ajax last season, he would have been moving on to probably one of the giants of European football. The reason why Sunderland can get him is because he had an off-season last season. So I think this is a gamble. That's probably how I'd situate this move. And I think Brobbey is the sort of player where he could hit the ground running, or maybe last season was the beginning, maybe he is regressing as a player and isn't that top-level centre-forward. So I think this is definitely a gamble from Sunderland. £21 million is a lot of money, but in the grand schemes of football, a player of his age, if he scores 6 or 7 Premier League goals next season, Sunderland will probably, this season, not next season, if he scores 6 or 7 Premier League goals though in this coming season, he will probably be able to get that feedback. So I don't think it's a huge risk in that sense. It's just whether or not it's a gamble that Sunderland are maybe thinking this guy might score them a lot of goals in the Premier League. And last season, he struggled to net for Ajax in what is a weaker league. So the overall verdict on this, it looks like Sunderland are going to fill the holes in the squad. We've been so active in the transfer market, and if you look at, I've seen a lot of outcry from Leeds fans where they are waiting for them to make moves in the market, whereas Sunderland have been active. We've just went out and we need to tick these boxes. We are going to tick these boxes. So this is 2 holes in the squad that are going to be filled. We've replaced Gio with I would say, a better player, certainly more experienced player. We're also bringing in a right back to cover and push Trey Hume, which is excellent. I think if I was greedy, and I think if we're all greedy, we'd probably still like to see another winger or sort of a player who goes behind the striker, something like that to come into the team, because we need to create more in matches. And I think a winger will probably still be on their list today. But I think Sunderland have done really solid business here. I think it's 2 moves that answer a lot of the problems we have in the squad right now. Our defence looks far stronger for all the work that they've done. And I think now the forward line, bringing in a bit more of an experienced striker. Look, we're not talking about a 30-year-old, we're talking about like a 23-year-old. But we're bringing in a bit more of an experienced striker who's played a lot of games at top levels. I think that will really help us. We've always got Isidore Mayenda, and then this lad Brobbey coming in. He might be able to be a little bit of an X factor in there. It means we've got options. And that's really, really important in the Premier League to have options. Right now, we've got a pretty fit squad, but that can change very quickly. When you look at AFCON coming up over Christmas and January and whatnot, them sorts of things can happen. Players can get injury suspension. So it will be a squad game this season, and we are building a squad. We've got pretty much 2 players in every position, which is all you can really ask for in the Premier League. And I think the club deserve a lot of credit for that. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please like, please subscribe, please comment your thoughts, please, on these transfers and whether or not you think they are any good. We'll catch you maybe for another video later today if more transfers are happening and there's more information coming out, because I'm expecting a lot of outgoings from Sunderland today. There should be a lot of players going out of the exit door, and at least 2, it looks like, coming through the entrance at the Academy of Light.